Hey everyone, I'm Sasha, and today we're talking about what is ancestralization. Ancestralization is the rite of passage of a deceased person in which they become an ancestor. The process involves the deceased person becoming better or more whole in spirit, and then joining the collective of ancestors before them and taking their rightful place as an ancestor. In the deceased person going through the rite of passage and taking their rightful seat as an ancestor, they also become a force of guidance, love, protection, and support for the living. This might not seem obvious, but when a deceased person is not ancestralized, that can often have a negative felt impact for the living. When there are troubled dead who need healing on our lineages, their natural go-to move is to get their needs met through their living family. Sometimes we call these spirits hungry ghosts. Let me give you an example. Let's say there's a father and a son, and the father has struggled with alcoholism for a while. The father dies, and then all of a sudden you notice that the son, who was previously not drinking, starts to drink. Initially, this might be because the son wishes to kind of bond with his father, or there's some kind of memory there, like, oh, we used to watch football and drink together. But then it becomes something else quickly. And the undercurrent of what's going on there is that the spirit is quenching his thirst, quite literally, through their descendants. This is another way to describe the inner workings of intergenerational trauma and harm. And this teases out why ancestralization is so important for the dead and also for the living, because we're related to each other and we sense each other. And the more our ancestors can be well in spirit, become whole, work towards healing and spreading healing, the more we can be vessels for that ourselves. We don't exist in a vacuum. Let's talk a little bit about how this process happens. So as you know, I'm trained by Dr. Daniel Four and the senior practitioners of ancestralmedicine.org, and helping others to help their ancestors ancestralize is a big part of the work that we do. In the healing modality that I'm trained in, the one who is driving the ancestralization and the healing process of the dead is the ancestral guide on their specific lineage. I'll link a video that I've made on ancestral guides in the past. But essentially, ancestral guides are ones we connect with who are, number one, blood ancestors, number two, ready, willing, and resourced to do the healing of the lineage, and number three, connected to the ones before them down through time. So ancestral guides, in other words, are people who are connected to the deep, old medicine and wisdom of their people, and know what's needed to further the healing and ancestralization of their descendants. So during ancestral healing sessions, you will meet the ancestral guide on your specific lineage. Let's just call it, for example, your father's father's lineage. And then after greeting, attuning, and relating with that ancestral guide, one of the first things we do is to ask them to create a vessel of healing. And then that ancestral guide places all of the ancestors on that lineage who need healing inside the vessel. And it's the responsibility of the ancestral guide to tend to the vessel and progress the ancestralization of his descendants. Sometimes our ancestral guide asks us to make an offering or to do something here earthside to fuel and feed the healing work that's happening. And this could be something simple like setting a plate out for your ancestors at dinner, or it could be spending time in your garden, or it could be praying every Saturday morning this specific prayer. Feels important to make a distinction here. We, the living here who are earthside, can absolutely make offerings and prayers and well intentions for the ancestors in the vessel who are receiving healing and who will ancestralize. However, the dead do not need us to ancestralize. We are not needed in their process. However, our prayers, our wishes for healing, and our intention can fuel the healing process on a lineage. I've seen it happen in all of my lineages personally and for the clients who I hold sessions with. So again, back to the process of ancestralization. Once the ancestors have been placed in that vessel of healing, we will continuously drop in with the ancestral guide and ask about the condition of the vessel of healing. Is it solid? Is it holding? Is there anything needed on my end to support you and progress the healing? Then we will say, are there ancestors inside the vessel who are ready to come out of the vessel and join the collective of ancestors before them? Which is another way of saying joining their people, returning to the old medicine and support of their people. Sometimes there are just going to be a few ancestors who are ready to join the collective of ancestors before them. Sometimes there will be many, and other times there won't be any at all at this stage. Either way, we just plug away, doing our due diligence here and making the prayers and offerings that are asked of us. When we get to the names of our remembered dead, or our ancestors whose names we know, the habit here is typically that we treat those ancestors kind of one by one, acknowledging their lives, because they do have a closer connection to Earth and their lives than the older ones. Also, sometimes stories that we have of the dead can also kind of keep them earthside or stuck in those similar patterns. So it's good once we get to the recent generations just to go low and slow and acknowledge them one by one with the guidance of the ancestral guide. Now, once the vessel of healing is completely empty and all of your ancestors have joined the collective of ancestors before them, then that lineage is fully ancestralized. There's a lot of juicy stuff that happens once a lineage is ancestralized, and it's a whole video all on its own. For now, what I'll say is that really clears the way for you to really embody the blessings of those people, and for you to be a clear prism of those people and of their medicine. There's also a specific initiation that occurs called wearing the face of a lineage, and I will make that video next. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful. If you liked it, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.